Hey, how's it going? Hope you're doing well. If you're new here, here's your complimentary jingly keys and subway surfers. And if you're old, make sure to take your pills in about 3 hours. If you forget, the doctor is going to be very upset with you. This right here is Rimworld Anomaly. The Rimworld devs take on a horror experience, and they used elements from the SCP universe, mainly containing entities and dying to said entities when they don't stay contained, and making things out of the entities. It's just very SCP coded. But I don't want to be an SCP. I don't want to be just a generic go and contain those things for the good of humanity. I want to make profit. I want to make lots of profit. I want to make so much money that you won't be able to think of how to spend it because it'll be just so much profit. So that's our goal today. And whether or not we kill our employees in the process, that's for the lawyers to justify in court. So yeah, let's jump into it. Alright, now as their employer, I need to go over their dossiers before I let them do any work. So let's start here with Ripley Salinas. So she says that she is good at construction, good with a gun, good with plants, but not with a pencil. Not a disqualifier, so let's move on. We've got Donella Don Roselia. One of the best miners that we've seen in the company, judging from these stats. Great with plants, but she doesn't like the sun. We can work around that. And we've also got Veronica Cooley here. She's a pretty good all-rounder when it comes to human resources. Great medical, social, and intellectual, but gets sick kinda easily. But she's got a pretty face. She makes a good HR rep. Oh, there's also a piece of toilet paper down here. Sten the Ghoul. I'll just put that in the trash can and let's move on to day one. Okay, so we start day one, and we get kind of unlucky with our spawn because the monolith that we plan to build our whole base around is kind of surrounded by ancient wreckage, which has like thousands and thousands of HP and can't just like be deconstructed. So we've got to stick Sten on that. We start planting down some corn with Dawn. And I queue up some smithing research with Cooley. We have everybody start hauling stuff to a stockpile so it's not all spread out everywhere. We get a bookshelf down so our books don't completely melt in the rain. And we also make a very small shack for them to sleep in so they aren't sleeping outside. Day 2 ends up being mostly more of the same, but there is a quick flash storm at the end of the day, and while it doesn't strike anything near where we are, it's still kind of annoying seeing something so destructive happen on like day 2. Day 3 is more of the same. We queue up some steel to be mined, and also I notice a random pig having a heart attack out at the edge of the map. The next morning, the monolith decides to get a little grumpy with us, but we mostly ignore it for now, and other than that, it's mostly a fairly normal day. We do start researching machining though, because we really need to get into guns as soon as possible, because this is a very hard expansion. We mostly spend day 5 building, specifically a little room around the monolith to kinda keep it contained, as well as the beginnings of a residential wing where everyone will eat and sleep and stuff. So the next day, we finish the rooms enough to be able to move the beds in and start building furniture and stuff so that they can be sleeping in their own rooms instead of a barracks. We also start working on a freezer and a storage room, and Dawn has a mental break, first one I believe. We get our next rice harvest on day 7, and Cooley also gets gutworms, which sucks. Selena's manages to get the first wind turbine built, and so technically we've got power now. Day 8, we mostly do more harvesting, and we get some power cables laid out through the base. I put down a zone specifically for ghouls, and a nearby Revia that was passing dies, dropping her steel shredder, which ends up being Dawn's weapon for the entirety of the 100 days, believe it or not. Right as dawn breaks on day 9, we get the monolith fully activated. With one final fart, it activates a gray pall, which just kinda works like a little fog, and also brings with it 2 fleshy little trees, which I lovingly refer to as our corpse disposal. These are harbinger trees, and if you feed them enough corpses and meat and stuff, they'll grow more trees. Also, we finish machining, which is very useful, so I queue up the next research for guns. And also a sight stealer attacks Sten, and we capture it, meaning it's our first captured creature, which is great. Day 10 comes around, and Dawn spends the morning tending to the sight stealer so that it doesn't die, because Sten did quite a bit of damage to it. Dawn's daughter Diaz joins, and I set up a little box to be mined out of a nearby hill so that we can have some very strong walls to hold the sight stealer in so it doesn't try to escape or anything. Day 11 comes around, and while we get the sight stealer all settled up and stuff in its cell, the more important thing that happens today is a giant manhunting pack of wolves. It takes a lot from us, namely our 2 turret packs and Sten, so we lose basically all of our protection, but at least we're still alive. Day 12 is mostly just the aftermath of day 11. It's lots of tending and sleeping and infections and stuff. Selena's does go crazy and have a tantrum, so we have to arrest her because she's got 2 infections and I didn't want her to die. Day 13, and we make Cooley head of HR so that she can use preach health and stuff. She uses that on Selena's, and then a 3rd harbinger tree sprouts, which is cool. Day 14 brings with it our first actual raid, this being 2 big skins with auto pistols, which kinda sucks because all we've got is a single shotgun and a couple of bows, including a flame bow. So, as you can probably guess from that loadout, it goes very wrong. We almost burned down our rice field and our cornfield. Everybody takes like really heavy damage, and it just goes horribly. But thankfully nobody dies, nobody goes down until a bit later, because I forget to have Selena's tended, but other than that it went pretty bad, but it didn't have very long-lasting consequences. Day 15 is mostly base building, mainly trying to survive a heat wave that had started the day before. But Selena's does build a machining table so we can start making guns, and she gets some dining room furniture started on, which which is great, because then they will be able to eat at a table, which is good. Only thing of note to happen on day 16 is Cooley has a mental break and destroys literally all of our components. Day 17 and Dawn starts to replace all the components that Cooley had just broken yesterday. We also finish building all the chairs in the dining room. Dawn crafts a bolt-action rifle for Selena's, so we have 2 guns now. And we also buy enough cloth to make a pool table, which will be nice so that we have more than one recreation type. Day 18, and I actually start engaging with Anomaly as a DLC, because I put a bioferrite harvester in the Sight Stealer's little cage. We start on a power cable to it, but it's decently far away from our windmill, so it takes a few days. We do get attacked by a couple finger spikes, and Dawn really comes out in spades here. Absolutely carries everyone. And yeah, we get everybody patched up. Day 19 comes and goes with nothing happening, but day 20, we get a bunch of rice, start on the corn harvest. Dawn and Selena's mine out some components, and we finish making the power cable to the bioferrite harvester so we can start harvesting some of that. Day 21, and Dawn starts beating up the wreckage, which used to be Sten's job because it was in the way, like I said at the beginning. She does it a lot faster thanks to her steel shredder, because if you didn't know, ghouls can't use weapons. But she gets the flu, and then almost as if out of spite, Selena's decides to destroy all our medicine. Well, most of it. Day 22, and we start off the day researching blowback operation. We also deconstruct the old shack I made on day 1, and start planning out the production wing. Specifically a machining table and a stone cutting table room, as well as a research room. Day 23 is mostly just catching up with all the plans I laid out, although I do lay out plans for a donut hallway to go around the monolith room. Day 24, and we finish making the rooms. And we also finish blowback operations, so I start microelectronics so we can get an advanced research table sooner. Also, we put down floors in all of the rooms on that side of the base. Day 25, and Dawn fights a mad turtle. We finish the donut hallway, put down floors in the monolith room. Dawn harvests some rice, and we start extending the dining room to make room for more recreation. We get a monument quest on day 26, and I accept it for a new pawn named Duran that I really liked the look of. So we start cutting out limestone blocks for that. Day 27, and we start working on the residential wing. We're going to expand it, because I already have 4 pawns and I only made 4 rooms. We also have some muffalos go mad, so I have them stay inside for a bit because it's not like we don't have enough food. Day 28, and we begin to expand the freezer a little bit because the walls had already been built. And I forget to freeze it. The muffalos calm down, so I start working on lights for the residential wing so we can see. And we also accept a sanguiphage quest, but kind of goes wrong. Thralls kind of ignore me and just go start beating stuff up. And the sanguiphage leaves before I can down it, so I don't get the xenotype either. Day 29, and we mostly fight fires left behind by those thralls. Selena's does almost bleed out because I did not notice that she lost a finger. Day 30 is mostly just building wires and planning out furniture for the residential extension. Day 31, and we finish the monument quest, meaning that Duran joins us. We also get the furniture for her room and the spare room built. We plant some daisies in the dining room so that the beauty gets a bit better, and we also arrest Duran so we can start converting her. Day 32, I plan out a second production room, and Duran also converts super fast so I can let her out really quickly. Day 33, and we finish said production room. I also set every small animal on the map to be hunted for its hide and stuff. And I also have Duran make a bolt-action rifle so that she has a gun she can use, since the main reason I wanted her was for her shooting skill. Day 34, fairly slow. I queue up some clothes for Duran, and Selena's built a high-tech research bench. Day 35, it just gets kinda cold, so I build some heaters. Day 36, we finally have enough hide to make Duran an outfit she will be happy with. I queue up more clothes because I realized that some of the stuff everyone started with is kinda tattered. Some raccoons go mad, but Dawn carries it as she usually does, and the corn almost gets burned down. On day 37, I buy some medicine from a slaver, and we start researching precision rifling. Day 38 is planting Gila root and mining some steel. Day 39 is blueprints for a third turbine and the concrete for it. And then on day 40, she finishes the turbine and cuts down all the trees and builds up the concrete and stuff. And we also get our first bioferrite extraction. We also plan out the ideology room because it is an office room and we need somewhere to have our meetings whenever we gotta let someone go, you know? Day 41 is mostly just working on the ideology room. Day 42, we get some corn harvests, we start researching geothermal power, nice hyperweave cargo drop, and we harvest some cotton so that it doesn't die in the cold. On day 43, we get a drifter named Bellamy who can raise shamblers. We never use that, but it's cool she could do it. So yeah, we let her join, we rest her, and we start converting her. The monolith also levels up, so now it gives more research whenever studying it. Day 44 is mostly just tree cutting and wreckage breaking. On day 45, we build some more storage in the freezer. I queue up a couple assault rifles, and I make a good containment chamber plan for 4 entities at a time with the bioferrite harvester and all that. Dawn breaks more wreckage to make room, and Selena's built a few walls of the chamber. Day 46, and a power short almost explodes my tailoring bench, which is very annoying. Bellamy fully converts, so we let her out of the prison. And Dawn and Selena's build out the containment chambers so I can get the site stealer and harvester moved over there. Day 47 starts with a wonderful gift of a corn blight, so we lose that whole batch. Other than that, Selena's just builds more walls and cables, and she builds floors for the chamber. Day 48 is Dawn making room for us to build a hospital. Day 49, we get a massive drop of cougar meat, and we also start working on said hospital. And then day 50, we fully enclose the base so that we can get some temperature regulation going on. Day 51, and Selena's build some vault doors for the containment chamber. Day 52, and Selena's opens up the residential district since the full base is completely enclosed, so there's no reason to keep it sectioned off anymore. A climate adjuster falls and makes us have higher temp weather, which is nice because of how cold it was, but will suck once summer comes around. I also forgot to cut the blighted corn, and all of my crops go bad. And then everybody has a party in the monument, because why not? Day 53, Selena's built a door at the end of the containment wing so that we can leave the base from the top and the bottom. We also finish geothermal power and start queuing up deep drilling, and we make a generator so that our power is a bit more stable finally. Day 54, and Don and Diaz start to replant all the crops that we had to cut down because of the blight. We put some fine tiles in Bellamy's room because she has the jealous trait. And we also start replacing all of our auto doors with limestone. Duran makes a assault rifle, and I start putting down lights all throughout the base because I like being able to see. We also put down floors, but we downsized slightly by not putting them throughout the donut hallway. Day 55, Selena starts building some lights and some floors, and we start researching the ground penetrating scanner. Day 56, Selena's builds more floors, and we get our first relic quest for the company commandments. Duran also kills a warg that was hunting her, proving the superiority of her assault rifle. Day 57, Selena's builds some floors and doors. We finish ground penetrating scanners. I also put down some orbital trade beacons and set up my comms console because I had completely forgotten to do that. And Bellamy also decides to leave. Day 58, Selena's keeps converting our doors to sandstone, and we reach the end of the monument quest, so we tear it down. Dawn also gets a work frenzy, so I have her mine up some uranium. Day 59, she goes through that uranium like it's butter, and Selena's deconstructs that monument, and she gets hit so hard from the roof collapsing that her jaw survives with 1 out of 20 health left on it. I also set a bill for masterwork rifles, but it's definitely not a good idea because I waste all my components on it. And I set down a comms console and start working on a scanner room. On day 60, we start to run low on steel, so I have Dawn mine some up, and it takes me all day to realize that we don't have enough advanced components to make the scanner. I start day 61 by accepting an infestation quest I had right before it expires that has an advanced component for a reward, which is just what I needed at this moment. The bugs show up in my old Sight Stealer box, and I have Duran start working on a new rifle. On day 62, Duran finishes the rifle, making a good one, and so I send her, Dawn, Cooley, and Selena's out to go and deal with the bugs. Sadly, Cooley and Dawn go down, but other than that, everything goes pretty well. On day 53, Dawn gets an infection, so Cooley tends and preaches health on her. Selena's built a pod, a biosculpting pod, and fills it up with food, but the cycle to mend scars and stuff isn't available because it requires glitter tech medicine. So I don't do it yet. Cooley has a mental break and kills our Sight Stealer on day 64, but I don't worry about it too much. We have a party and it turns out fun, and I also start researching plate armor so that I'll be able to make flak stuff eventually. On day 65, we get our first mission to get info about the commandments, but we don't take it yet. Duran finishes off the last of our components with a new assault rifle, and I go to place down medical beds in the hospital, but I realize we're out of components. I send Duran and Cooley to a nearby ancient complex, hoping to bring back more components. The next couple days are a bit hectic, so forgive me if I sound like I'm blasting through it, but First, Cooley and Duran arrive and go through the complex room by room. Hey, so editing Zach here. I completely forgot to mention that Dawn gets attacked by a sight stealer, and that sight stealer goes down but doesn't die, so it screams and causes the whole chain of events that's about to happen. I say it's a different sight stealer later on, but it's not. I'm just stupid. Anyways, yeah, back to the video. And I try to have Cooley deconstruct unstable fuel node. It doesn't really go well, but whatever. Kiko, the ancient, wakes up and sets off a fuel node in his room. Then he goes and knocks down Duran and almost takes Cooley out too, but Cooley manages to kill him and self-tend and then tend Duran, thankfully. We get a paralyzed kid named Boyd. Cooley opens a hermetic crate, gets chem fuel. A sight stealer attacks Salinas. Dawn and Diaz back her up, but it howls, attracting more sight stealers, and then the proximity detector just goes crazy. We get everybody inside. Cooley breaks more walls, and the proximity detector keeps going off. On day 67, Duran gets back up. Duran and Cooley deconstruct all the crates, but I realize that you don't get anything from deconstructing hermetic crates. The proximity detector breaks, so I've got to risk it, and I put Dawn at the back door, and I reveal the sight stealer, but it dies immediately. Cooley and Duran pack up and start heading home. I send Dawn to the front door, reveals two more. I knock down those two and capture them, but one of them howls and attracts even more sight stealers. But I take advantage of the quick break between waves and have Dawn mine up some components so we can fix the detector. Salinas fixes it, but accidentally leaves the door open, and one of the sight stealers I captured dies because I forgot to tend it. On day 68, we queue up flak armor. I have Duran and Cooley come home because they ran out of food. Thankfully, they avoid all the sight stealers. I have Dawn check the front door, and 4 sight stealers barge in, taking her down almost instantly. Then Salinas, Diaz, and Cooley have to take him out. Duran captures 2 of them, and Cooley patches everybody up. On day 69, it's just a lot of screaming sight stealers outside of my door. There are so many. And Dawn tends up one of the sight stealers in captivity, but it almost bleeds out. Thankfully it doesn't. And then on day 70, an exotic goods trader comes by and takes out all the rest of the sight stealers for me. I managed to catch 2 of them though, so I've got a full containment chamber. I sell my Luciferium and a shard so that I can buy a component and a bunch of normal ones. Some Revia raid, but the traders mostly handle it. Diaz almost gets taken out. The Revia set my corn on fire, but the rain puts it out thankfully, and I get all the spoils of war, which is cool. On day 71, Salinas finishes building the pool table, and it also gets really hot inside, so I put down some coolers. On day 72, the huge stockpile of meat I had rots away because of the heat, so I have to add a second cooler to the freezer. Boyd almost overheats to death, so I put 2 passive coolers in his room. And Duran makes a masterwork assault rifle, which I give to herself. On day 73, Dawn and Duran start to mine a random line through a mountain since we are dangerously low on components, and I also start a double strand growing zone. Duran goes catatonic. On day 74, I start fully limestoning my outside walls so that if we get a raid from like shamblers or something, we can actually survive by staying inside. On day 75, we get a quest to protect a noble, and I accept it for goodwill because, you know, making friends with the Empire is very profitable, even if you're not a noble yourself. Once they land, we take the whole squad over there. Duran stops being catatonic, gets up, grabs her gun, and goes and joins everyone else. Eventually some impids show up. We succeed in defending the noble, but Diaz and Don get hurt pretty bad. Day 76, Diaz gets an infection and then starts psychotically wandering, but since I had preached health on her, it was fine. Around midnight, two of the site stealers break containment. Salinas tries to handle it herself, but ends up needing help from Duran and Cooley. We get them recaptured and tended to. On day 77, Duran cleans up the halls a bit, and we place down some extra proximity detectors in case we get more site stealer feedback loops. On day 78, we get an infestation of 4 spellopedes. We take care of it pretty quickly with only Duran taking any hits. On day 79, we queue up the multi-analyzer, and I set all the gold veins on the map for mining. On day 80, I get tired of looking at dirt floors, so I tile the rest of the donut hallway. We also finally get a 4th Harbinger tree, and we promote Salinas to regional manager. On day 81, I plan out a higher security vault room, but it's just set to be mined out for now, as Salinas finishes building the last few limestone walls to keep the outside protected. Salinas finishes building the last few steel tiles on day 82, while some compact machinery is found in the new chamber. On day 83, I sell over half of my corn so I can buy a bunch of neutral amine and components. We arrest Boyd so we can convert him, but since he's paralyzed, we can't release him even though he converts instantly. On day 84, the power starts getting pretty unstable, so we get a second geothermal generator up. We also get a second entity escape, too, just like last time. We have all the gun-wielding pawns line up, and I have Salinas who peek the doors. We complete the event with no injuries, and then a volcanic winter happens. We start laying down hex tiles in the dining room on day 85. But we also get another corn blight. On day 86, I just spend most of the day arguing with someone in my live stream chat about whether or not plants slow pawns down. Spoiler alert, they do. On day 87, we start the day with a party, which is a good way to start, and then Salinas builds the wires up to where I plan to have a 3rd geothermal generator. On day 88, Salinas builds said 3rd geothermal generator, and I plan out the designs for my new storage room. On day 89, we sell all of our chem fuel and all of our leathers to a bulk goods trader, and then Duran makes a 2nd masterwork rifle, which I give to Salinas. On day 90, Salinas gets a good chunk of the walls for the new storage room built, and I start planning out the hydroponics bay. On day 91, Salinas finishes up the walls of the storage room and gets the roof up, and I start moving the stockpile over to the storage room. We get a giant manhunter pack of cougars, so I keep everybody inside. On day 92, I realized that I forgot to extend the hide zone to the new storage room. So I start setting up shelves and stuff, and I'm so confused why they won't build them. On day 93, as I'm watching some Revia walk towards the base, I notice a giant pillar fall from the sky, which stuns me a little bit. But I go and I have coolly suppress it after the cougars walk away. On day 94, I get some progress made on the hydroponics bay, namely walls and a roof, and we harvest the corn that was caught up in the expansion. On day 95, I contemplate for a while before deciding to plant corn in my hydroponics, not realizing you can't plant corn in hydroponics. And so I start planning out how I want the hydroponics to be installed. I install a few heaters because it gets cold. On day 96, I decide to get all the hydroponics we have lit for the moment built. And I almost forget about the obelisk. It starts getting really high activity, so I have Cooley go and suppress it. Duran gets the flu. That's all that happened today, I guess. That's the only note I took. So I plan out a ritual room because it's almost day 100 and I wanted to go out on a bang. So I start planning out a ritual room, but it's taking super long, and one of my chat members told me that rituals usually take a few days to kick in. So I go ahead and just do the ritual. I also let everybody recreate because I know that a giant raid is about to happen, and I don't want them to all be like going catatonic and shit whenever there's a million shamblers approaching. So about 4 or 5 hours later, I get a pop-up that shamblers are approaching. Last attempt, done in by a giant herd of shamblers. It could be a tough fight. I click the alert and it's 2. It's 2 shamblers. It's so easy. They go down instantly. It was...
Well, that was kind of sad.
Day 99, we get progress on the obelisk, but I almost forget to suppress it, and it slips above 80. Duran gets grumpy and beats up some walls, and then we get a psychic drone, of course, because Randy's Randy. I didn't really do much on day 100, but on day 101 I decided to step back and admire the progress that I've made since day 1. Because I really did make a lot of progress on the base. It's evolved so much, and I'm super proud of the stuff I did with it. Anyways, since this is day 101, this is about where it's time to end it. Hello, and welcome for watching all the way through. I put a lot more effort into this video than last video, so I really appreciate you sticking around. If you want to see more from me, you can join my Discord to see when I upload, and I like to stream pretty often. I usually don't stream whenever I'm working on a video, but I'm thinking of changing that for next time I start working on a video. And yeah, I plan to be streaming about when this video goes live, so as you're watching this, I'm probably streaming, I don't know. I've not decided if I want to do a horror game or a Monster Hunter game yet. Anyways, one more thing since you're here. If you want to see this continue as more 100 days, or if you want to see this continue as a single video where it's just start to end, just let me know what you want in the comments or on the Discord or whatever. I greatly appreciate the feedback, and yeah, I hope you have a nice night. See ya.